Bigfoot suit.
And Darlene in tears next, DT.
Friday night at 11:35.
Tonight, U.S. forces in Iraq strike at the heart of the Shiite insurrection in an all-out effort to put its leader out of business. Raising the stakes in the abortion battle, a bishop tells Catholics if they vote pro-abortion rights, don't receive communion. An extraordinary American soldier. He loses his foot in Iraq. Now he says he's ready to go back. And a different perspective on the news of the week from the men who give the headlines a punchline.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. U.S. fighting soldiers and Marines in Iraq today launched what appears to be a major effort to sidetrack the cleric calling the shots of the Shiite insurrection. He doesn't lead a majority of Shiites, but he does have enough followers to cause real trouble that could spread. Across the South, Americans battled the cleric's militia in their own backyards. In the holy city of Najaf, fighting reached less than a mile from the most sacred Shiite shrine, which was slightly damaged. CBS's Jim Acosta has our report tonight.
American tanks pounded their way into the heart of Muqtada al-Sadr's stronghold, Iraq's holy city of Najaf, where coalition forces found themselves locked in hardcore urban combat. The battle was fought on sacred ground as U.S. soldiers opened up on al-Sadr's fighters in the city's graveyard. Despite attempts to spare one of Shiite Islam's most important shrines, the Imam Ali Mosque was hit, the coalition says, by al-Sadr's men. It's the coalition's biggest effort to crush the radical cleric. From Baghdad to the Persian Gulf, al-Sadr's fighters have triggered a string of lethal tripwires for the U.S., holding ground in Karbala and Najaf, seizing a coalition building in Nasiriyah, and calling for suicide squads in Basra. Analysts question the wisdom of taking out the young Shiite aristocrat, noting his family legacy stretches back generations.
I don't think the Americans want to see his blood on their hands. It's just going to give an excuse for all groups out there who want to mobilize support against the U.S.
While U.S. military commanders don't think al-Sadr is much of a leader, and they don't see his militia as much of an army, his numbers are growing, and they don't seem ready to quit. At Friday prayers, a senior al-Sadr cleric urged a wider uprising. If occupation troops have entered Najaf, he said, we will declare holy war. Coalition leaders now believe al-Sadr wants to take the south of Iraq for himself.
They are trying to achieve, through the barrel of a gun, what should be achieved in this country, through the ballot box.
Al-Sadr's warnings to leave are being echoed in unlikely places. As 2 civilian convoys burned in the Sunni north today, insurgents declared that all Iraqis who help America must die. Jim Acosta, CBS News, Baghdad.
After all the revelations and photographs showing some U.S. soldiers abusing Iraqi prisoners and heavy pressure on Defense Secretary Rumsfeld, the U.S. government is now changing the rules for interrogations. CBS's David Martin has word tonight on the new rules and serious new questions about who approved and enforced the old rules.
At the same time, it is releasing hundreds of inmates from the prison where the worst abuses occurred. The U.S. military has issued new orders barring any use of aggressive interrogation tactics such as sleep deprivation and withholding food. The interrogation rules posted on the wall of Abu Ghraib prison had a list of techniques such as stress positions, being made to stand or squat in an uncomfortable stance for up to 45 minutes, and sensory deprivation, being hooded for up to 3 days, which could only be used with the personal approval of the commanding general, CG for short. Under the new rules, all those techniques, except isolation for longer than 30 days, are prohibited under any circumstances. In addition, the commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, where there also have been cases of prisoner abuse, says he too is about to issue new interrogation rules.
The new rules amount to a tacit admission that the approved interrogation techniques might have gone too far in allowing inhumane treatment prohibited by the Geneva Conventions.
None of the abuses seen in the pictures were ever on the list of approved procedures, and according to the Pentagon, were the work of a handful of low-ranking soldiers. But Scott Horton, an expert in international human rights law, believes there is a connection.
Clearly, these violations are linked directly to policies that came from the highest echelons of the Pentagon.
It will take the courts-martial beginning next week to determine exactly what led to the abuses, which, according to charge sheets in the case against Specialist Charles Grainer, included knocking a prisoner unconscious. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
A human rights group charged this week that mistreatment of prisoners by the U.S. military in Afghanistan is, quote, systemic. The U.S. government has opened an investigation into claims of abuse by former detainees. CBS's Tom Fenton in Kabul has more about this.
In addition to facing an upsurge in ambush attacks, U.S. forces here now face questions about what happens to the Afghan citizens they arrest in the hunt for terrorists. These men were rounded up from 2 villages Tuesday after a Marine was killed nearby. Once suspects like these are taken into U.S. custody, they disappear into a black hole. The American command refuses to say how and where they are held, but insists they are treated in the spirit of the Geneva Conventions. This Afghan police colonel has another view of how Americans treat prisoners. Syed Nabi Siddiqui says he was abused much like the prisoners in Abu Ghraib at a series of American bases here. He says he was beaten, stripped naked, sexually abused, and humiliated. They told him his wife and daughter were prostitutes. He says he was repeatedly photographed in the nude. Now freed and seeking compensation, Siddiqui is not alone. Other Afghans have stories of similar mistreatment, but their voices go unheard.
So far, there's been little public awareness of the problem here. There are few newspapers in the country, most Afghans can't read, and even the state-run television is not covering the story.
But one Afghan organization that is aware is its Human Rights Commission. They've asked the Army for permission to visit the main American prison at Bagram Air Base, where 2 Afghans died 17 months ago under suspicious circumstances. So far, the Army has not responded. The fate of the hundreds of unknown Afghans who were routinely rounded up by U.S. troops here is still a military secret. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Kabul, Afghanistan.
In this country, some Roman Catholic voters may soon face a hard choice between a matter of faith and the orders of their church superiors and casting ballots in line with their own political beliefs. CBS News correspondent Jim Axelrod reports on the politics of punishment for voting against church doctrine on abortion and other issues.
This church in Colorado is home to a Catholic bishop who's just taken the growing debate about public policy and private faith one giant step further.
We need to vote for those who would promote human rights, the most fundamental of which is the right to life.
Bishop Michael Sheridan doesn't want to stop at denying communion to Catholic politicians who favor abortion rights. In a letter to his diocese, he writes any Catholic who would vote for that candidate may not receive Holy Communion.
It is primarily the legislator who enacts it, of course. But next down that chain is the voter who put that legislator into office.
When the idea was raised Easter week that John Kerry might be denied communion for supporting abortion rights, he was quick to draw battle lines, which he redrew today.
We have separation of church and state in this country.
Sheridan says that simply means there can be no state religion, and insists that Catholics are required not to vote for anyone who veers from church teachings.
Oh, interesting. I think it makes sense.
While Catholics on both sides of the issue aren't hard to find,
I disagree with them and disagree with it strongly.
At this point, Sheridan represents a minority view among American church leaders.
The largest group within the population of American Catholic bishops is those who simply wish the whole issue would go away.
Not likely in an election year with an incumbent who opposes abortion rights facing a Catholic who supports them. Still, enforcing this next step would be trickier. Voters, unlike candidates, exercise their consciences in private. How's the church to know? Jim Axelrod, CBS News, New York.
On another controversy with religious and political overtones, Massachusetts is becoming a national focal point again in the debate over same-sex marriages. CBS's Mika Brzezinski reports tonight the legal right of same-sex couples to exchange vows in the state now appears to be just a weekend away.
When Linda Davies and Gloria Bailey first met 32 years ago,
we were
closeted to the whole world.
But Monday, these women will tie the knot.
That's what we're going to be able to say come Monday. We're married.
Along with 6 other couples, they sued the state of Massachusetts for the right to marry. And last November, they won. Now, after court challenges and a legislative fight, city and town clerks will begin to issue marriage licenses on Monday. A staunch opponent of same-sex marriage, Republican Governor Mitt Romney points to an old state law that limits marriage licenses to residents only.
We have to follow the law, whether it's one we appreciate or not.
But here in Provincetown and in several other cities, officials say they will issue licenses to out-of-state couples, despite the governor's objections.
We're in a situation where we really have to determine and interpret for ourselves.
Doug Johnstone, Provincetown's town clerk, says dozens of volunteers are ready to help process a tidal wave of walk-ins.
I'm very excited, actually. It's going to be a great day.
But this landmark ruling may only be good for 2 years. Voters could weigh in on an amendment to ban same-sex marriages in 2006, and opponents will use that time to try and gain momentum.
When Massachusetts says marry whoever you wish and wherever you wish, this is going to create a legal nightmare.
But for Linda and Gloria,
come on, Captain,
it's all about Monday, a rite of passage in their 3-decade-long struggle for equality and acceptance.
We've waited all winter for this, haven't we?
Mika Brzezinski, CBS News, Orleans, Massachusetts.
Coming up next on the Friday CBS Evening News, he lost his foot fighting in Iraq, but that isn't keeping this soldier from his duty. You'll meet him in tonight's Inside Story. And later, a CBS consumer alert. Do ATV dealers obey age rules when selling the powerful rigs? CBS will take you undercover. But first, CBS News honors fallen heroes. Richard Gannon was among the U.S. Marines who helped capture Baghdad. Later, he led a company of 200 Marines involved in rebuilding Iraq. Gannon attended Cornell University on a Navy scholarship, majoring in history and political science. Among his passions, running in marathons. He completed his first, the Heart of San Diego, when he was just 9 years old.
One day on vacation, Brian just said, this is where we belong. And we opened the sandbar 3 months later. After Brian died, I thought about moving back, but this is our place.
Insurance from Mutual of Omaha. Begin today.
That's the big
Gotta go, 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 gotta go right now. I've gotta go now.
If you've always gotta go, you may have a treatable medical condition. So ask your doctor about Detrol LA, the #1 prescribed brand for overactive bladder. It helps control the bladder muscle contractions that have you rushing to the bathroom.
Need a break?
No, not right now.
If you have certain stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, you shouldn't take Detrol LA. Common side effects include dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't have to go right now.
Detrol LA.
Right now.
When you've always got to go.
When choosing a Medicare-approved drug discount card, what's right for one person isn't always what's right for the next. So how do you know which one will save you the most? Call 1-800-MEDICARE. We'll compare cards for you based on your needs. You'll be able to choose the card that's right for you. Call 1-800-MEDICARE now to help you compare.
The allergy season's in full force. Most OTC allergy medicines may not last as long as you want. Not Benadryl allergy, not Chlortrimeton 4-hour, not Tylenol severe allergy. But just one dose of once daily Allegra lasts up to 4 times longer than one dose of most OTC allergy medicines for people 12 and over. Side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or backache. Don't let another allergy day go by without Allegra, because who knows how long this allergy season will last. Long-lasting Allegra. The relief goes on.
Thank heaven for little girls. For little girls get bigger every day. Thank heaven.
Just think, one delicious Viactive Soft Calcium Chew, twice every day.
gives you the same calcium as those big chalky pills. You may be all grown up, but you don't have to feel that way. Viactive. Be sweet to your bones.
Nicholas Berg, the American civilian savagely murdered in Iraq, was laid to rest this morning in a cemetery in Pennsylvania. Later in the day, family and friends paid tribute to him at a private memorial service in a synagogue. Berg's body was recovered last weekend. Several days later, videotape of his beheading by al-Qaeda terrorists showed up on the internet. There's been so much focus in the past few weeks on soldiers who have brought shame to the U.S. military. Tonight, a different story about a soldier who has given much to his country and now says he's ready, yea, eager, to give more. CBS's Mark Strassman brings you the inside story.
Fight! Combos, get your combos going.
Even in an army with countless profiles and courage, Garth Stewart, a 21-year-old mortar gunner, stands out as a fighter in his refusal to dwell on what he has already lost in service to country.
And you could choose to feel bad about it, and you could choose to let it wreck everything it is you're doing. Or you do have that option to just make it work.
Last April, on patrol in Iraq, Stewart saw an anti-aircraft bunker, but not a nearby mine.
I was walking down the road, and all of a sudden, a big boom, and he was on the ground.
So I started reaching for my rifle, and then I saw my legs, and scariest 2 seconds of my life.
He had 4 separate amputations of his left foot and startled everyone at Washington's Walter Reed Hospital by leaving after only 3 weeks and returning to active duty 7 weeks later.
He says, well, when I took the oath of enlistment, I gave my word. So I'm going to serve out my term of enlistment. I said, wow.
There's a saying that a true soldier always moves toward the sound of guns. If Stewart's unit redeploys to Iraq, and most people here think they will later this year, a medical board has now cleared him to redeploy with them.
Aim close on you, tall guy.
That would make him the first amputee in uniform to redeploy to Iraq.
But you're basically saying, yeah, if my unit's called, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm not saying, ooh, put me back in Iraq. Yeah, exactly. But I am saying if my unit's going, you know, I'd better go with them.
America's military still has lots of fight left in it. Garth Stewart is walking proof of that. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Fort Benning, Georgia.
Next up on the CBS Evening News, children and ATVs. It's a potentially deadly mix, made more so by some dealers. You'll see why when we take you undercover in CBS's Consumer Alert.
16 and under.
Oh, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go right now.
I gotta go now.
Now? If you've always got to go,
I'll be right here.
you may have a treatable medical condition. So ask your doctor about Detrol LA, the #1 prescribed brand for overactive bladder. It helps control the bladder muscle contractions that have you rushing to the bathroom.
You need a break?
No, not right now.
If you have certain stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, you shouldn't take Detrol LA. Common side effects include dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't have to go right now.
Detrol LA.
Right now.
When you've always got to go.
What do you love about Ziploc?
This container from Ziploc is really different. I can easily close the lid with one finger.
I can't do that with this Gladware.
Now that's a tight Ziploc seal.
The Ziploc container, designed with you in mind.
You know, some people don't think what we do is a sport. That's because you can't get hurt doing it. Otherwise, you have that insurance. What insurance? What? Come again? The one that pays you cash.
So if you're hurt and can't work.
Which one?
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Wouldn't it be nice if more things in life were soft and comfortable? Well, now they can be. With Dulcolax Stool Softener from the makers of Dulcolax. Its gentle formula doesn't make you go. It just makes it more comfortable to go. And it's so safe, you can trust it enough to use as often as you need. Dulcolax Stool Softener. Make yourself comfortable.
J.D. Power & Associates ranks Hyundai above Toyota in initial quality.
To celebrate, we're slashing the prices on our huge inventory of new Hyundais by thousands of dollars.
Right now at Hallmark Hyundai, get a 2004 Sonata for only $13,625.
Hurry in and get a 2004 Hyundai Santa Fe, only $17,925.
Great quality, fun to drive, and America's best warranty.
The biggest celebration we've ever had. But hurry, these savings won't last forever.
That's Hallmark Hyundai near Rivergate.
What's it like to be a young Muslim woman and live in a community that has no use for women? Let her tell you, Sunday on 60 Minutes.
There's growing concern that inflation may be making at least somewhat of a comeback. The government reported today that consumer prices rose 0.2% in April. So far this year, inflation is running 4.4%. That's more than twice last year's rate. Tonight, we conclude our Consumer Alert investigation into why so many young people, in some cases very young people, are driving and dying on powerful all-terrain vehicles built for adults. Using hidden cameras, CBS's Sandra Hughes shows you how some ATV dealers may be part of the problem.
It's been almost 2 years since Sue Robbie's son Kyle was killed.
After you lose a kid, you don't want to live.
Kyle Robbie died driving the family's full-sized ATV, riding after school with a friend.
He went down a little shortcut and hit a stick or a rut or something, and it caused the four-wheeler to jerk out of his hand, and then it tipped over on him.
The huge four-wheeler crushed the boy. ATV sales amassed $3 billion last year, fueled by families and children. ATV accidents and deaths have been rising for more than a decade. More than 1/3 of all ATV deaths are children under 16. Consumer advocates say there ought to be a law.
You would never put a 12-year-old behind the steering wheel of a car, never put a child under 16 on an ATV.
But critics say some dealers ignore warning labels that say children under 16 should not ride adult ATVs. The all-terrain vehicle industry says any parent asking to buy an adult ATV for a child should never be sold one.
A dealer should not sell an ATV when the parent has knowingly made it known that that is for a child.
We tested that claim at several Southern California ATV dealerships, making it clear we were shopping for a 12-year-old boy. At first, the dealer followed the rules.
So what the manufacturers recommend is that 16 and under ride something less than that.
Moments later, he stepped off company property and said the big ATV, called a 250, would be fine.
Off company property, I'm telling you, the kid can ride the 250. I'm not on company property.
So who's watching over those dealers? No one.
The problem is that the ATV industry is in charge of safety, and under their watch, there have been more deaths, more injuries, and more powerful and larger ATVs on the market.
The ATV industry was placed in charge of policing itself back in the 1980s after the Consumer Product Safety Commission sued manufacturers, saying the old three-wheeled ATVs were dangerous. The industry voluntarily stopped making them and created a four-wheel version. In exchange, the industry was allowed to monitor itself.
And what we know now is that this has failed Americans miserably.
It failed the Robbie family. Now the Robbies tell their son's story to anyone who will listen.
And we only do them in hopes that people will hear that kids should not be on adult-sized four-wheelers.
Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Flood watches were posted today for parts of the Midwest and Texas, but it's hard to imagine this part of southeast Texas could be more flooded. About 400 square miles were affected by torrential rain, as much as 17 inches in just a few hours. And schools out at Hearn High, flooding kept students out of class and turned hallways into waterways. Still to come on the CBS Evening News. If laughter is the best medicine, then surely it's time for a dose of American comedy. We'll have it for you in a moment.
Good news for those with Medicare. You can get savings on prescriptions. And now, millions of lower-income people may qualify for an additional $600 credit. Only with a Medicare-approved drug discount card. Call 1-800-MEDICARE now for more information on how to save. Because you either have the power to save, or you don't.
help your business succeed. At UBS, we give you all the resources you'd expect of one of the world's most highly awarded global investment banks. But to understand what your business really needs, we bring something more to the table. We work with you, like it's the world's most powerful two-person financial firm. You and us. UBS.
For the best protection against water damage, one name says it all. Thompson's Water Seal, waterproofer plus wood protector for the highest level of water protection guaranteed. Thompson's Water Seal and Thompson's Water Seal Advanced, the most powerful protection against water damage.
We brought new Hidden Valley White Cheddar Ranch to the cheese experts.
Yeah, that's a lot of cheese.
Cheese is my life. Next to ice fishing. Oh, that's cheesehead love. You betcha.
Real ranch, real cheddar from Hidden Valley.
Oh, hey, hi, I'm Digger. Don't mind me, I'm just a dermatophyte. You know, a nail infection. All I want is to get in here and live under your nail. You can't get me with clippers or those surface treatments you try on your own. I'm in too deep in your nail bed. I'll make myself comfortable and invite a few friends. Settle in.
Do you have thick, discolored, or flaky nails? Millions of people do. It may be caused by an active live infection. That's why you should ask your doctor about prescription-only Lamisil. Unlike surface treatments, Lamisil is a pill that works through the bloodstream to target and attack the infection at its source, underneath the nail. In fact, you can start to see clearer, healthier nails in just 3 months. Lamisil isn't for people with liver or kidney problems. In rare cases, serious side effects in the liver or serious skin reactions have occurred, so your doctor may do a simple blood test. Other side effects including headache, diarrhea, indigestion, and rash were generally mild. Ask your doctor about Lamisil. Once daily Lamisil tablets. Get your nail infection where it grows.
Some areas already getting some heavy rain, and it appears that the weekend will start with more rain showers and thunderstorms. I'll have the full forecast coming up at 6.
Tonight, the CBS Evening News gives the final word on the news of the week to the late-night comedians. We report they deride.
The gas prices are up, the stock market is down, Iraq is a mess, and John Kerry is saying to himself, how am I going to beat this guy?
Donald Rumsfeld said he was happy to be visiting Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. Okay, he was over there. How much stress is this guy under when he goes to Iraq to unwind?
John Kerry, who is now campaigning actively, he spent the day reading to school kids. Reading to like preschoolers, and he sat there and reading the book to them. And the kids said that Kerry actually lacked warmth and failed to articulate a clear message. And then Bush also read to preschoolers, and he raised over $3 million.
And that's part of our world tonight. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, a 48 Hours mystery.
Mia Zapata was on the verge of stardom. Then she was murdered. The case went cold until they found what no one else could.
Is it one of our friends who did it?
Who murdered the rock star? A 48 Hours mystery, Saturday.
For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting from New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on CBSNews.com. Partially sponsored by Walmart. Good jobs. Good people. Great opportunities. Come grow with us at Walmart.
A hidden health problem that can damage your baby's looks or worse on the Saturday Early Show. Experience CBS News.
Ahead on News Channel 5 at 6, is it a daycare or is it really a Bible school? Whatever it is, state officials will be taking it to court.
And are you planning on being out and about this weekend? Big road construction projects will be going on in a couple of places. We'll tell you where to avoid in a live report.
And the weekend begins with the rain pushing across the area in waves. How long will the rain last? We'll have that forecast still ahead. Your news begins now.
From your news and information leader. This is News Channel 5 at 6.
Very pleasant good evening, everyone. A Nashville church is digging in its heels.
The Tennessee Department of Human Services says the church is running a daycare illegally without a license. Even after state officials dropped by today to shut it down, the church turned them away. News Channel 5's Barry Simmons tells us why and what's next.
When DHS investigators came to inspect the Priest Lake Bible School, they found attorney Randall Davis blocking their way.
The question you're posing is how many children on premises. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Davis represents the church running the daycare, which DHS